reply to him, Allah is pleasing with this because we are going to him with our free will. The second thing is that we are created from material, that is blood and bones and so on, and spirit. And the materials are fed with water and food and so, but spirit can only be fed by Allah, by worshiping Allah.
Jameel jiddan. Excellent. Everyone understand? Jazakallah khair. Thank you very much, sister. Right. Let's see here. I want to talk about the flip side of the argument one more time, or to explain it a little bit further. Right. So I said we can always use the flip side of the argument to explain something. We used it with the intervention and how much or what are bad things happen to good people, what are good things happen to bad people. There are also other ways to do it. So for example, let's use it with a Muslim now. So one Muslim will tell you that, and you've heard Muslims make this argument before, they'll tell you that, don't say that Allah is on His throne. Some Muslims will tell you that. Don't make the argument that Allah is settled on His throne. Even though Allah says that in the Quran, they'll tell you, no, He's not on His throne. Look at their argument. When they make the argument, it sounds like it's very respectful. But when you push the argument, what are we doing here?
Fixing the audio a little bit.
But when you fix the argument, let's just. So basically, they're saying, don't say that Allah is on His throne, because that way you're limiting. See how it sounds good? You're limiting Allah to one place. Don't say Allah is on His throne. You with me? So, their argument is, you're limiting Allah. And it makes it sound like you're trying to be very respectful here. And it sounds good in the beginning. But then when you flip the argument around, it's a big, big problem what they're saying. So they're saying, don't say Allah is on His throne. You say, Allah said He's on His throne. Ar-Rahman al-Arsh istawa. Allah is settled on His throne. So now in order to stay with their argument, they have to now twist and change the meanings of the Quran, which is the first problem they get into. So when you say Ar-Rahman al-Arsh istawa, Allah has settled on His throne, they say no, istawa here means istawla, which means like He conquered His throne. Which now brings us into a big problem. You're saying Allah conquered the throne, that means there was someone there on the throne. So He had to conquer something. See how they fall into problems because of their argument. So they're saying, don't say Allah is on His throne, you're limiting Allah to one place. But let me flip this around. You're saying, if He's on His throne, He's physically limited to one place. If I flip it around, it means He's physically everywhere. That's the opposite. And that is a bigger problem. You're trying to you're trying to avoid being disrespectful, you actually fell into it, even more so. When you flip it around, it means He's physically everywhere. And then you ask Him. So here you can use analogy, but we're flipping the argument still. So they're saying that physically everywhere means He's everywhere. In the church, in the restrooms, bars, all these places that you wouldn't be caught dead in. And you're saying He's physically in there. And historically Muslims have gone astray with this, because that some of them even wrote poetry saying, وَمَا الْكَلْبُ وَالْخِنْزِيرُ إِلَّا إِلَهُنَا. The dog and the pig is nothing but our ilah. The dog and the pig is our God. Why? Because the dog takes up space, the pig takes up space, and God is everywhere physically. That means also inside them. And so is the monk in the monastery, he's our ilah. One of them said, he said, I don't know which one of us is the ilah and which one of us is the mukallaf, the one who is supposed to worship the other. Another one says, Subhani, Subhani. Doesn't say Subhanallah, Subhani, because Allah is in him, that what he believes, So, when you look at the flip side of the argument, it's a bigger problem. They were trying to respect Allah and say He's not on His throne because that limits Him to one place. But you flip it around, you're saying He's everywhere, in places that you wouldn't want to be caught dead in, and then you're saying He's inside all these things, so you get into a bigger problem. So you flip the argument around. This is the same thing that happened at the time of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal rahimahullah, when they said the Quran was created. So they again tried initially to be respectful to Allah Azza wa Jalla. They said the Quran is not the speech of Allah. Why? Because speech is renewable. And Allah Azza wa Jalla is qadim, meaning like ancient. He's been there for ever. So if you say Allah speaks, that's a renewable quality, and Allah is ancient, or qadim. I don't know how to translate qadim beyond the ancient. So they're trying to respect Allah, but the problem is when you flip their argument around, that's what Ahmad ibn Hanbal rahimahullah did. When you flip the argument around, we have a big problem now. Because you're saying the Quran is not the speech of Allah, it's something created by Allah, and all the creation of Allah and everything besides Allah is imperfect. So now you're saying the Quran is imperfect, and it has flaws in it, and everything has an end. You're saying that the Quran has some kind of end. And that's one of the arguments that Ahmad ibn Hanbal rahimahullah used when he tells him that, I came to make wudu and I came to pray and I couldn't recite any surah. And then I looked in the room and I found the Quran dead on the floor. So the Khalifa got upset and said, does the Quran die? He said, well, you said it's created, and everything that's created has an end. So they were he used analogy and everything, but when you flip the argument around, you see that it's a big problem. So that's the benefit of using the flip side of the argument. That's why someone, when they say, I don't believe in organized religion. For what it's worth, I love throwing in the word disorganized. Just so they can think about the flip side. I don't believe in organized religion, so would you prefer a disorganized one? And I know that's not what they mean, but they say no. But then you get them to think of the flip side. What do you mean organized? What do you want? You want something that's not organized? You want it to be your way, whatever way you feel like? Yes, sir?
Sorry, can you please reiterate that point? I didn't hear the story of the Imam and the Quran is created.
They're saying that the Quran is not the speech of Allah, it's something created by Allah. And he's arguing with them that everything created by Allah is imperfect. Only Allah is perfect. All His creation is imperfect. So that means the Quran would be imperfect. 2, everything that's created by Allah has an end. That means you're claiming the Quran will have an end. And he gave them the analogy, the Quran died last night, and they got upset, like, how could you say it died? So, well, it's created, and it has an end. So it ended yesterday, So, and then he used many other arguments, many other analogies. He also went into the Quran being the knowledge of Allah. So then he argues with the Khalifas to send him people to debate with him. So he would argue with them, he would tell them, is the knowledge of Allah created? So one of them says yes. Because if he says no, he has to extend that argument to the Quran. So he had to say yes. So Imam Ahmad tells him, kafar, and you're a kafir. How could you say the knowledge of Allah is created? So the guard, when he is just a simple guard standing there, he doesn't know, these scholars are debating, he doesn't know really, he can't follow, he doesn't have enough knowledge. When Imam Ahmad tells the man, you become a kafir, so the guard gets upset. He tells him, this is the messenger of the Khalifa, how can you call him a kafir? So Imam Ahmad looks at this simple guard, he tells him, he's saying that Allah's knowledge is created. So that means that before Allah created His knowledge, He had no knowledge. And how could He create His knowledge if He didn't have knowledge? So he said the guard just started to give the guy the mean eye, He started to stare at this simple guard, so how could you say that, So he kept reversing these arguments, giving the flip side, Anyone heard the biography of Imam Ahmad? Oh, that's a small number, people. Oh man, that's a small number. The biography of Imam Ahmad is just unbelievably phenomenal. Unbelievably phenomenal. You've heard it by Sheikh Safi Khan? Yeah. Have you heard? Does Hisham al-Awadi do it? No? Okay. I actually have it. It's like 6 hours, but it's not produced anywhere. If somebody wants to take it and edit it and put it online, go ahead. I'll give it to you. It's so phenomenal. It's so phenomenal. It's so detailed. It's heartbreaking. You laugh, you cry, everything. It's just phenomenal. And what a hero, what a man. And you love him because you see that he was afraid at times, but he encouraged himself. And, man, don't get me started. Because you know what the historians and the scholars say, that Allah saved this religion with a Siddiq on the day of Ridda, and Ahmad ibn Hanbal on the day of the fitna, or the mihna of the creation of the Quran. Why Abu Bakr and Ahmad ibn Hanbal? Why are these the two greatest stances in Islamic history according to scholars? Because there are many times when the Mongols, the Tatar invaded the Muslims and they destroyed their libraries and so on. But Islam itself wasn't under any threat of changing. Just Muslims were under the threat. But Islam was still okay, the religion. But at the time of Abu Bakr, he stayed steadfast and he preserved Islam from... They said if Abu Bakr didn't stand steadfast, today we would have an Islam without zakah. And if Ahmad ibn Hanbal didn't stand steadfast, today we would have in Islam where the Quran was created and not the speech of Allah Azza wa Jalla. And then the arguments that he used were so phenomenal. And every time he would stump them, they would add more chains and bricks to his chains, and then they would beat him, then they would trample him. They would put something on top and they would all walk over him and they would knock him out. And he's a thin, frail man, but he's just... And see, in the beginning, I know I'm getting into that, it's just beautiful. In the beginning, there were a lot of scholars that were on his side. Then they were threatened with jail, threatened with the swords, only 9 remained. Then they were threatened again, only the 7 of the 9 said, khalas, we'll say what you want us to say. Only 2 remained. Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal and a young man named Muhammad ibn Nuh. Just this young man, just these 2 people, the Khalif said, send them to me. He says, Wallahi, I'm just going to kill them. So a man came in crying and said, Ahmad ibn Hanbal, the Khalifa has got this sword, he pulled it out, and he's going to kill you. Ahmad prayed 2 rak'ah, raised his hands up, and he made dua. He said when he put his hands down, he heard some screams, the Khalifa had passed away. Anyways, such a phenomenal story. I hope you read it. That was a preview. Coming soon. Anyways, where are we? We're talking about the flip side. So you see, you flip the argument around. Flip the argument. I did it with the beard gut, right? Why do Muslims grow their beard? Basically, in a nice way, told them, why do you shave? You know? There was a speech being given by a Muslim speaker at university. A woman came in, all angry and yelling, non-Muslim woman, pointing at the sisters section. Why are they covered like that? So he tells her, well, I mean, you were born unclothed. Why are you covered now? So she said, modesty. He said, well, modesty. More modesty. If you cover yourself for modesty, that means the more you cover yourself, the more modest you are. Using the flip side of the argument, and don't really use this, but it's the flip side of the argument. If someone tells you, like a woman argues, these women are covered and so on, and they're not liberated. The argument is that the more uncovered you are, the more liberated you are. And you could argue, but don't do it. You could argue, well, I see that you're still not fully liberated at the moment. Why don't you liberate yourself some more? So, but it's using the flip side of the argument. If covered is oppressed and uncovered is liberated, well, just be 100% liberated then. Of course, don't use the argument. Sometimes people try to use a fact or a statistic the wrong way, just like we saw. They tell you, some zebras are gay. So, suppose that was a real fact. Would that mean that we should be like that? No. Sometimes they tell you something is natural. Like there was this atheist guy with me at work, and again, don't do this. I'm just showing you the guy was being very aggressive. So I just came to something of equal measure, where he said, and I'll get to you, sister, inshallah. I see you. So he was arguing aggressively. He just really hates Allah, hates Islam, and he thinks he's so upon the truth. So he was saying that he was talking about women flaunting their sexuality and just like that. And